Welcome to Thrive Radio, expert visionary and innovative business, life, and relationship advice to live a life of doing the impossible with your host, Amy Montgomery.
Welcome to Thrive Radio. I'm your host, Amy Montgomery, entrepreneur and digital marketing agency owner. I've decided to bring on inspiring individuals that are helping others thrive. Today, my guest is Frankie Dades. He works for the fire department and he's a health coach and passionate about helping others reach their fitness and health goals. Welcome to the show, Frankie.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited to have you here. I found Frankie actually on TikTok and he's inspiring people. He's inspired me to take my fitness to the next level, and I absolutely love the messages he puts out. You've reached an incredible level of fitness in your life, and I want to know if you can share some of your story with us and how you've got to where you are today.
Yes, of course. Yeah, I've always been into athletics my entire life, played sports, boxing, football. I started weightlifting. I joined my first gym when I was like 14 years old, and I haven't stopped since. But from at that age, I just didn't know what I was doing. I kind of just was winging everything. And over the years, learned through experience, asking questions, doing research. And I would say about 4 to 5 years ago is when I really started taking it serious and actually learned what I was doing. And from then on, I kind of just been completely dedicated, and I pretty much commit my entire life to it. My health and fitness, it's the most important thing to me, mentally and physically.
So are you in the gym every day?
Yes, for the most part, yes. I know I'm aware that recovery and rest days are very essential. I'm not the best person to talk to about that because I don't always do it. But for the most part, I would say at least 6 days a week, I'm doing some type of physical activity. And I would say maybe 3 to 4, 2 times a day, whether that's running in the morning and then weightlifting in the afternoon, vice versa. I'm always doing something.
The level of dedication and commitment to that is incredible. And I think that a lot of people that are listening and probably think, what was the motivator behind that? When you go out, when you get up every day, because I know that most people, even if you're passionate about it, it's painful. We talked about the recovery. So what story are you telling yourself on the inside that motivates you?
So, I mean, when I first started, like I said, I really didn't know what I was doing. I was always like a bit heavier, bigger boned type of kid. And my group of friends that I grew up with, we were all into the gym and sports together. They were all, for our age, they were like in good shape. They were a lot thinner than I was. They always had the abs and everything. And I just, for some reason, I was never able to get to that level. And it was always frustrating to me. So for a long time, I was telling myself, oh, it's not in my genetics. It's not, I can't get it. I will never have a good physique. And that was because I was doing a lot wrong, whether that was dieting, the way I was training. And it kind of, once I learned, I saw results, and immediately it does more for you. Physically, yeah, it's awesome. You look great, but mentally, it does a lot mentally. It's good self-confidence. It's good. People use it as therapy, their own form of therapy. So my motivator is in that aspect is it kind of helps me get by if I have a problem. I go to the gym, or I go for a run. I'll go for a long run, and I kind of sort my problems out in my head that way. So it's my motivator in that aspect is it's a mental escape, and it helps me clear my mind. It keeps me sane, in a nutshell.
So in walking through your journey, what are you grateful for now?
I am grateful for my experiences that led me to my journey. So I although they might have not all been positive, but you could look at it in a positive aspect in the sense that it taught me a lesson and it put me on the path that I'm at now.
And I can relate with that too. I think we talked briefly about, a little bit my story where I was in a car accident and 2 plates, 15 pins and screws in my arm. They said, you'll never use your arm again. And I did the same thing, went after fitness and weightlifting. And at the time, it was, I was in that overcoming mindset, right? And it was, I think competition for me is my motivator. If somebody will compete with me, and I don't know if that's right or wrong, but if somebody will compete with me, I don't care if it's like, well, I'm going to gain, 5 more pounds of muscle than you, or whatever it is, or whatever goal, I'm in. If there's a competition.
Yeah, see that was like that for a while, especially coming from sports. I was very competitive. I loved that competitive aspect. And then after a while, I kind of like I had to take a step back from it, and like because it became too much about like what someone else is doing as opposed to me. And I like everybody's different, everybody's on different levels. So like obviously, if you're playing if I'm doing CrossFit and I'm in a CrossFit workout with a friend, and like friendly competition, that's fine. But like when I stopped like trying to get better than other people, because it would ruin my own progress, because now I'm comparing myself to someone who could be on a completely different level than me. And I feel like I'm not doing good enough, and it gets to my head. So I kind of had to take a step back from that competitive edge that I used to have. Now
Yeah.
I'm like the compete against yourself type of person.
I agree. What's funny about, I used to always work out, and I still do now, but always work out at home. And for, a couple of different times in my life, I've gone to the gym. Wrong thing to do with that, because that is a little bit ingrained in me. And I'd go, and who's lifting weights? Mostly not the women. It's the men. So I would go out there and I'd see all these guys lifting weights, and then I'd want to be like them.
So that's good. You could use you got to use that kind of, instead of a competition, use it as a motivator, and something to look at or look up to. Like I have a lot of people that I look up to in that aspect in the fitness world, where it motivates me to I like it. I kind of chase them in the sense that I would love to be on
Yeah.
that level one day, but I'm not kicking myself because I'm not there.
So if there's somebody that's listening and they believe they can't reach the level of fitness that you have, what would you say to them?
It's definitely not. It's a lot of people have that mindset. I had that mindset at one point. I'm not anything extraordinary. I in my own eyes, I have a lot of work to do. But I have come a long way, and that was just the pure dedication and commitment, and focusing on what my overall goals are. If you want to achieve a certain type of fitness goal, or whatever type of goal it is, all you have to do is commit to it. You set what you want to do, and then do it. If you tell yourself you can't do it, or you constantly have negative self-talk, you're never going to achieve it. So anybody can achieve. Most people get better than I am if they have the right dedication to it.
It's that mindset. And you and I kind of talked a little bit about that, of the mindset, and how it has to start with what's in your mind.
Yes.
And you had mentioned a little bit when you first started out, just that resistance, and other people that you've talked to that get a little bit of resistance from those who are around them when they start to try to get in shape. And
So I could talk a little bit about, because I did mention the experiences I had that landed me on my journey. So yeah, I initially, like I said, I always worked out. I never took it too serious. I always went in the gym. Like I could say that I don't think I've taken off more than 2 weeks. But I broke my finger once, but then I wound up lifting in a splint on my finger anyway. So I never really took off, but I never took it completely serious. And then I would say I went away to college. I gained the freshman 30. I was eating like cafeteria food. Like I was in the worst shape of my life at that point. Like I gained so much weight. I really didn't care that much. And then I graduated. I turned 21, and as 21-year-olds do, I was partying. I was going out on the weekends, and I was surrounding myself with people who did that. And you have your fun. It's a good time when you're young, but you got to know when to wrap it up. And I started to tell myself, like, I didn't like the way I felt. I didn't like the way I looked. I didn't like the way my bank account looked. So I knew I knew I wanted more, and I knew I wanted to eventually live um, like a successful, comfortable life. And I was like, I'm not going to get there by doing this. Like going out every weekend, spending $300 a night is not going to get me there. So I kind of just started to slowly cut myself off from that. Occasions are fine for me. I do weddings, bachelor parties, whatever, birthdays, that's fine. But like just for the going out for no reason, the same thing every single weekend wasn't for me anymore. So I started to hang more around, gyms and people who had similar mindsets to me. And those people from that I would used to hang out with when I was going out every weekend, I did receive a lot of pushback from it. And then just people from like my hometown, like my city. I'm from Staten Island, so it's small, so everybody knows each other and everybody does the same thing there. So when one person starts to like do something different, it's like out of the quote unquote norm of where I'm from. So everybody questioned it. I got criticized. People mocked me. A couple people made like a sub kind of Instagram post about me, like, oh, big influencer, like, make it like, why you like, you're lame, you don't come out, all you do is work out. And that's most people's issue, that's what stops them, is the pushback from family and friends that don't understand, that don't agree with what they're doing because it's not how they live their life, or maybe they don't have the courage to live that kind of life. They don't want to give up. It's out of their comfort zone, so they don't want to leave it. So they criticize you for doing it. And at first you're gonna see it, and you're gonna be like, oh, like why would they say that about me? It might affect you, and then eventually you just gotta. Their opinion doesn't matter. People's opinions have no impact on your success or your journey whatsoever. So you're gonna, no matter what you do, you're gonna catch hate. So you might as well catch hate doing something you love rather than living your life the way someone else wants you to live. So that's like the biggest thing I just tell people is you're gonna get pushback. People aren't gonna understand. They're gonna criticize, and you should just keep your eye on your goal. And if they don't want to follow along with your journey, leave them behind and stick with like-minded people that are on the same path as you, which I have done. And this journey that I'm on has brought me around amazing people. The people that I'm in communication with daily they're such driven, positive people with great aspirations and goals, and that's what I needed around me. I don't need people that don't want, like, they're just living for the weekend. That's not what I want.
Let's talk a little bit about the food, because I know that for many people that is they use it for stress relief, entertainment, all of this. And I talked to you a little bit about the fact that I haven't eaten sugar since 2016, and I've experienced a little bit of that same, like, you go to a potluck, you're not eating. Yeah. And all the foods are packed with sugar. Sorry, I don't eat the sugar. And then people get offended. So you have that, but then I know that there's people that are listening and thinking, well, on Friday night, I go to food for fun. So what are some of the things that you've done, especially for people that are emotional eaters, are going through stress, they're going through this. And I know that you were saying that you used working out to deal with a lot of that. What are some of the other things that you go to besides food?
So I'm a big believer, like, if you're upset and you're stressed, the worst thing you could do is sit there and go through social media and that kind of stuff, because the grass always looks greener on that. Everybody's life is, amazing on there. So like, if you're feeling down, that's like one thing, that's another thing you shouldn't do. So don't turn to food, don't turn to social media. What I like to do is, I am a big believer in podcasts. I listen to a lot of podcasts of motivational speakers. I like to listen to audiobooks. I'll go on YouTube, I'll watch videos of motivational speakers, Navy SEALs. I like to listen to people who have been through some things in their life, and what their mindset is and how they go about their life. And it kind of, that personally for me, that's like, if I'm not going to go to the gym, that's what I'm going to do to make me feel better, or just take my mind off things, learn. I'm a big believer in always learning something new, always listening or reading something, as opposed to just mindlessly scrolling through your phone. So if food is an outlet for you, and if you're gonna sit there and eat food and go on social media, put the food down, and start learning, reading, see how other people who have experienced hardships in their life deal with things.
And that's where all your amazing quotes come from, I'm sure. That are on.
They definitely are. They definitely inspire me. Yes.
Yeah, I think that's really great. I do a lot of the same thing, and music. Use a lot of music, and and I think that a lot of times, like with the working out, or it changes your physiology. So it's hard to be depressed when you're working out. It's hard to, or doing anything around like having music and being pumped up. It's hard to be stressed out.
Yeah, it's people. A lot of people always say, especially people that aren't like into it too much, like you work out just to look good, this and that. Uh, no, that's not true. Like, there's been days where I'm coming home from work, and I just, it's one of those days where just one thing after the other, and it's a bad day. Everything piles up, and I'm on my way to the gym, and I'm like telling my head is telling myself, like 100 times, just take today off, just take today off, don't go. And like I'm having a conversation like with my mind, like, no, I need to go. Nah, you could take off today. And then I'll go. And afterwards, it's just like you feel great. Like and I'm like, thank God I went, because I feel like it feel like I feel refreshed and clear after. I don't know if anybody else feels that way, but like when I get a great workout in, especially when there's a lot going on, I feel great after. So it's a
Yeah.
lot more than just getting muscles and looking good. It does a lot for people mentally.
Yeah, and I think with the weightlifting, that's easy compared to cardio. Cardio is hard.
Yeah.
You know? Anytime someone says, "Oh, weightlifting, that's so hard." It's like, "No, not really." Because, it takes like a minute of two for you to press through, and where cardio, it's a lot more. And a lot of people spend a lot of time on the cardio. I'm like, if you can do cardio, you can lift weights easily, right?
And if you could lift weights and do cardio, you could do CrossFit. 'Cause that's
Right. So we kind of talked a little bit about mindset keeping you stuck and motivating yourself. What would you say with somebody that really deals with is struggling with their mindset? Like maybe they're just stuck and they want to do it. They want to move forward. Would you tell them to start listening to certain people that would motivate them, or what are some of the first steps that you would tell them to do today to kind of push themselves forward and taking action? Or would it just be just go?
So I get that question a lot, like tips for a beginner, like I'm just starting, how do I like start? And I'm like, just go. Honestly, stop, don't think about it. If you're gonna sit there and think and overanalyze, you're just gonna tell yourself 100 times why you shouldn't go. Just go. Maybe do minimum little bit of research, or follow a plan, a beginner's plan. There's a lot of programs out there you could follow. And I tell everybody too, ask questions at the gym. Like, people think they're being judged, or for the most part, especially, I mean, any gyms I've ever went to, especially when I first started, I had no problem asking the questions. You see the bigger guys there that seem like they've been doing it for a while, and they're usually always open to help and love giving advice. And so ask questions. Don't be scared to ask questions. People love, like, everybody supports each other. We all know you're just starting. We have been in the same position. Everybody starts at some point. They just started a different time in their life. So just go. Don't think about it too much. And you're not always going to be motivated. I'm not always motivated. A lot of the times, like I said, I have that conversation with myself where I'm like, you could take off because I had a long day. I work a lot, so I'm exhausted. I just want to go home, relax. And the whole thing is that motivation doesn't last. It's your discipline that keeps you going. So you develop that habit of going even when you don't want to. And now that you can't get that confused with, like, if you're injured or you're hurting, you got to listen to your body. There's people that are like, oh, just fight through it. No, that's not smart. But when you have discipline and you're driven and you have that goal in mind, you don't need motivation. Because motivation is not always going to be there. So you can't rely on motivation because you'll be inconsistent, just like motivation is. It's not always there. So just go and stick with it. Start slow. Don't compare yourself to other people because everybody is different, and ask questions. That's my best advice to anybody.
That's really, really good. When I was, when you were talking, it reminded me of my father. When I was 13 years old, he would have me get up at 3 a.m. to go work out a few times with him, with Mr. America. And I remember to this day walking in, and Mr. America had two separate shoes on. Like, one was an office type shoe and the other one was a tennis shoe. And I was making fun of him. I just thought it was but it was like, he had no excuses.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, it's not an excuse for me to skip my workout just because I have two different shoes on. And and so how many people would not go to the gym because they have like a shiny black dress shoe on and a tennis shoe on? Most people would completely not do it. Now, my dad did give me talking to after that and say, don't ever tease a guy that's that big, because he'll beat me up, not you.
Smart man.
Yeah. But it's so easy for us to come up with excuses of why not to work out. Yep. Little things like that. So what's your truth that has gotten you this far, do you think, in this journey?
I would say that I value being able to inspire people, and I've always wanted a job or a career where I help people, and I just always felt in me that was what I was meant to do. So getting me this far, I feel like it was knowing that I could share my journey with other people and help them and show them that they could do it. So I feel like that's like a drive that keeps me going. Is I would love to eventually, do this as my career. So I would love to be able to push people to that limit that they can get to, that their mind may be stopping them from.
Yeah. Well, and I think that you do that already. Watching you on like on TikTok, the inspiration that you send. I mean, I think that you're there, and that you do exude that, because there's a lot of people out there that will give fitness advice. There are a lot of people that just will do gym videos and things, but you inspire people, and it's a little bit different. And I think that inspiration, like we were talking about earlier, it starts with your mindset.
Yep.
And so you're adding that mindset and motivating people through it and showing example, which I think is really a powerful message. So I think that you're right on point there. I doubt that it's going to be that much longer before you're doing that full time.
I hope so.
So what's your intention and hope for those that come to you for health and fitness and coaching in the future, and share some of your success stories, because you mentioned some of the success stories that people that you've been able to influence.
Yeah. So, my overall goal is, because I was in the same position as a lot of people. Like I started off very insecure. I had no self-confidence. I had negative self-talk all the time. I'll never be able to do it. I made excuses. I looked for the easy way, and I broke past that and I educated myself and I learned a lot. So my overall goal to help people is not everybody has that um, support system like we had spoken about, and not everybody has the guidance and information that they need. So I didn't have that. I like I said, I asked questions, but I did a lot of research on my own. Like I've been in the rabbit hole doing lots of research. So I want to be that form of information for people, and I want to show them what they can do if they just commit themselves to it, and I could guide them along the way. I would love to do that. And as far as my success stories, so like I said, when I first started, I caught a lot of pushback from people, but I didn't speak about the positive things that I had received. So I received a lot of. At first, I was just sharing my journey. I was posting my workouts. I was showing progress pictures, just because that's just what I wanted to post and show. Like keep my log of my journey. And people that I didn't even realize that were paying attention throughout the whole time, and even people that I really never spoke to, reached out to me and had told me like, "Hey, you're the first people would just say like, you're doing great, like keep it up." And then I would get other messages that completely shocked me, like, "I've been following you, this like your journey the entire time. You've inspired me to better myself. I'm getting back in the gym now." And then that was at first, which is awesome. People that I know, and now with the reach that I have on TikTok, I've been getting messages that like they like give me goosebumps when I read it, because people tell me like that I've in a sense saved their life. They saw my message at the perfect time, and whatever was going on in their life, it helped them, and they're like, "You saved my life. You made me like you inspired me to better myself." And then they'll ask me for advice, like, "How can I go about this?" And like I love answering and helping people like that so much. And I've kept in touch with a bunch of people. They've been, every couple of weeks they'll message me with some like progress, like, "Hey, like still 3 weeks in." For example, one guy had reached out to me. He had saw a video that I put on TikTok that like I put, it was kind of like a look what I used to do compared to like look what I do now, and like it was a video of me like partying or whatever, and then it was me working out. And he kind of reached out to me and was like, "Hey man, like listen, I have a lot of trouble, getting away from the alcohol and like the bars and everything, and my group of friends don't really help." And I kind of explained what I did here earlier. You got to just set your goal and not care what anybody says. And I gave it to him a little bit more elaborate, and he reached out like 2 weeks later and was like, "I haven't drank in two," which was like a lot for him apparently.
Yeah.
He said, "I haven't drank in 2 weeks," because apparently he was drinking multiple times a week. He's like, "I haven't drank in 2 weeks. I already lost 3 pounds." Like, and it's like amazing. It really is, like the fact that like just my input and my advice helped someone like that. And if I could continue to do that, it's amazing. I feel like I'll do that. I could just do it all day, every day, and I don't get tired of it.
Yeah, I heard a quote once that said, information and experience equals wisdom. And that's really what people pay for and what they need help with there's tons of information out there. But if you put that information with, what works and what you tried, and how certain things don't work and certain things do work because you tried it, that's what people need.
Yeah, I feel like this industry is very saturated with like the influencers and everything. There's a lot of people who they tell you it's like this cut and dry way like to do things, and it works for everyone. Like, or they try to sell you some type of fat burner or something like that, and it's like, "Oh, this will get you to look like me." Meanwhile, they don't even use the fat burner, and they're on whatever they're taking. And
Yeah.
I feel like like that's not what people getting led wrong that way, and that's why that kind of adds to people's. Honestly, I used to believe those people too, and that's part of the reason why people's mindset kind of just goes down. It's like, oh, like it's not going to work for me. It's just not in the books for me, because I believed those people that told me, like, just take this and you'll get jacked. You'll look like me. And if you don't know anything, you believe it and you try it and you don't see the results you want and you give up in a month, 2 months. And that's what I feel like a majority of people are coming across. And there are genuine people out there that want to help and could help people change their lives. So I want to be that person for whoever I come across.
Yeah, I agree. It's becoming the best version of yourself, not becoming somebody else. And there's so many out there that's like, oh yeah, they're actually having surgery to change, their body type. And telling, oh, just do these exercises. It's like, okay, no, like I can become the best version of myself, but I'm not going to change my body type by doing those few things, Yeah, there's a lot of that. And, I think that, there's power in when you can change yourself and you do become the best version of yourself, regardless of what body type you have. There's an acceptance there because you've worked so hard. And again, you're the best version of yourself. So, it kind of, I think, in a way heals that I'm not like that other person, because you're still fit, but you're your type.
It's true, because I used to compare, like I said, myself to other people, and that held me back completely. I don't do that anymore. There's people that are in a lot better shape than me and look better than me, whatever it is. I don't care. I'm happy with how far I've come. All I have to do is go look at an old picture of me, and I think back to those times, and I'm like, I am so happy that I came from that, and I am where I am now. It's better than I was yesterday.
So this is my last question. If you were able to give yourself one piece of advice when you first started out in your journey, what would it be?
It definitely would be not to listen to those influencers that we were just speaking about, because like I said, I did believe a lot of people that I'm like, I can't believe I listened to this person. Like, just because, I later found out that they were taking steroids or whatever they were taking, but they were promoting some type of program or product it was this magical pill, and it didn't work. So I guess, let me rephrase that. My advice to me would be, there's no magic pill. There's no easy way. The only way to do it is to fully dedicate yourself, because I didn't at the time. And that was world changing for me. When I started to completely dedicate my life to it, everything changed. So yeah, no magic pill, no easy way. It's hard work only.
So for people that want to get in touch with you, your Instagram is Drinky Fades and your TikTok is Frankie the Greek, and I'll put those in the notes of the show, both on iTunes and on my blog. I'm excited for your journey as you go forward, and more people that you're inspiring. And like I said, you've definitely inspired me, and I'm glad to be able to have you on my podcast.
Thank you so much again for having me.
Yes, definitely. Well, if you want more information about Thrive Radio, you can go to amymontgomery.com. You can see some variety of interviews there. And thank you so much for subscribing to my podcast. And guys, we'll see you next week.